Welcome back to another video. This is your girl, Miss Bev. It's Sunday. Happy Sunday, everybody. Happy Sunday. So, if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to the channel, people. Please subscribe and share a video or two with your families and friends and co-workers. Please like a video and leave me a comment. But this morning I feel very Jamaica. Guys, guess what? I haven't even gone to have breakfast yet, and it's like 2 o'clock already in the afternoon. I just get up feeling relaxed, feeling full, feeling good. You know, I'm just thankful. I'm just filled with gratitude, you know, for so many things. And so I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry for bread. like, you know, Christ told the devil. He says, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word. Right? So this one I want to talk to us about people who can say, I know I have issues. They're the people who can grow and will do very well. People who acknowledge that they are not perfect, that they don't know everything. They are not superhumans who can do everything. They are not just people who just everything, yes, and then falling by the wayside. They will grow. A person who admits that he or she doesn't know everything is a person who people will help. I remembered when I was in the classroom, one of the things the math director said to me, and we were in a group, we were having our departmentalized meeting, and one of the things he shared in the group, which I felt humbled, and he says, you know, we have Beverly here who has many years of experience, more experience than the coaches, more experience than even him himself. He was the math director. But he says, one of the things that I never did was to pretend I knew everything. I was one of the first people when they would say, oh, well, we don't. I said, yep, I need the coach. I need, like, and one of the reasons I did it, I know the kids needed support. And so I'm not going to say I can do it all by myself. I'm always saying, I need the support. I need. And whether or not I know something, I'll be quiet for a moment and let somebody show something from the way they did it. Once I see it, I can now say, make a decision. Do I want to use this or don't I want to use it? But too often we go out there and if there's a disagreement, it is never people who, you have some people who will, oh, they never do anything for me. You never do anything. What have you done for me? You did nothing for me. And not forgetting all the good things that that spouse did for him or her over time. They never see that they are the instigators and the aggressors. They always think that I do this and I do. Never stop to think that maybe something you did or how you did it or how you said it created a problem. So we have to learn to understand that. Unless we get to that point where we know and we can acknowledge that, I'm not perfect at all, you know. I'm not perfect. I say things I shouldn't say. I say things at the wrong time. I do things that doesn't make sense. I do things without even have a consultation or you know, I just do it because I felt, you know, I could do it. I don't care. There's so much that we do and say that makes things so bitter and ugly. And when we fight that, well, that struggle to be right all the time, then we can't fix anything, never gets fixed. because we never change, right? It's all about us. And what we do is the right thing. And we don't want to hear what anyone else has to say. But we have to get to that point where we value others, where, you know, we hear their side too. My daughter was 16 when she said to me one day, because I was one of those parents who, I think it was a fear. I never let them go to people's homes for sleepovers. Was so not having it, because I said, I know what I do in my house. I don't know what they do in their houses. I don't know who visits their homes. I don't know if there are parents who are in bed and their children are left outside to come inside when they wanted to. And I wasn't that parent. If they're outside, I'm out there with them. Always tried to have space where they weren't on the street corner to play, but they had a yard to play in. So I was that kind of parent who, you know, there are things I wasn't having. And when I talk to my kids, I needed them to understand it. And one day, my older daughter, they're twins, but the older twin, she says, Mommy, we have stuff we want to say to you now. And that was such a wake-up call, you know, because, you know, it says it's a child a lot of times that leads us. And when she said it, I stopped dead in my tracks. And I just looked at her. And I smiled. And I think that gave her the assurance that I understood now. So in relationships, I have to say, let us not do the power struggle thing. Let us not try to be, you know, because you do 60% and the person who does 40, theirs doesn't count. Remember, it doesn't matter how much, as long as they're doing, and they're doing to the best of their abilities, it should count. Remember that each one has a voice. So when they see the husband who feel like, I'm in charge, I bring the money in, and you'll have to do what I say, cut it out. Cut it out and sit for a moment and listen. Listen. Listen to the whispers. Listen, because in those little quiet moments, there's a lot that is said. And if we're always noisy, the mouth going, we can hear what is said. So as you go forth, guys, listen, there's no perfection. I want you to remember that. Every time you decide to open your mouth and put somebody down, remember there's no perfection. When you reach that point where you can say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I really need to think before I speak. I really need to ask questions before I assume. I really need to take the time to look more closely at things. Then once you get to that point to understand that you're not perfect, then you will grow. Then you will have a relationship that is so, it blossoms and blooms so nicely that you're going to be happy to be home. A lot of people who leave the home and is out there on the street looking for whatever, a lot of them can't leave because they don't have enough to rebuild. But what they want is that person who can have good communications with. And so they'll go out there because somebody who doesn't have much to lose or is not looking for anything, or who is not bitter, you know, when you go and you say, oh, the sky is blue, they're not going to say, what blue? Not just the gray ones there and the da-da-da. Notwithstanding that majority of it is really blue. And when that person can look and say, you know, I agree with you. Because they look too and they see that it is a little shade of gray somewhere, but it is so insignificant that they don't let that take away from all the blue that is up there. That partner is going to want to be talking to that person more and more and more, because that person doesn't disrespect, that person listens, that person believes, And that partner would be happy to speak to that person or with that person. So then they might come home because the kids are there, and they might come home because this is what they invested in, or they bought this beautiful home, and to go out there, have to start all over again. They don't want that. They can't handle that. But in the meantime, they don't want to see their partners. They don't want to talk to them because they know it's going to be harsh and negative. So let us work on growing those seeds. Let us sprinkle our relationships with those seeds, that when they blossom and bloom, that they're beautiful and the scent is sweet and the harvest is good. Don't sow those negative seeds, because when they do blossom and bloom too, but when they come, they are harsh and they're prickly, and there's a lot of discomfort. And any little thing that is good growing down there, it's going to choke them. So again, grab those good seeds. Acknowledge that you're not perfect. That's the first thing. Acknowledge that you're not perfect. Acknowledge that sometimes we need to be better listeners. Acknowledge that sometimes we talk a little too much. Acknowledge that sometimes we're ungrateful. Acknowledge that sometimes we're lazy. Acknowledge that sometimes we don't look our best, or we have the opportunity to do that. Acknowledge that sometimes we're not the best parent, and we can ask for some help once we acknowledge that we're not the best us. So I just wanted to speak on that this morning, because too often, you listen to situations and you're like, ouch, ouch. And you listen to people who, them, situations, and you hear them, never do nothing yet for nobody, always this, always that, and the put downs are, they make you cringe. So let us, whether we're young, we're old, whether we're in a marriage or relationship or in a workspace or whatever it is, a parent, and we might be in these positions for many years. But let us, and the dysfunctions have been there and choking the life out of us. So let us remember that a child being good to a parent is because the parent sprinkled those good seeds and they blossom and bloom into good things. Don't think that when a kid shows kindness to an older parent or even a young parent, when a kid is willing to hug and to just be there for us, don't think that it's because we are so whatever. It's because we know. Growing my children, don't think that I was rich and gave them the best life there is with material things. It's not so. All the love you see, all three of them outpour on me and even on Donnie, and how they treat people around them. It is not because I had to give. What I gave them were things that were priceless, and I taught them how to appreciate, not material things, but appreciate kindness. I would tell them, like Granny used to tell me, don't forget kindness. Because at the moment when you needed that support, that person was there for you. So don't come now and because you're doing so well that you feel like, oh, well, you never asked them to do it, and oh, well, what? Those kind of conversations shouldn't be in my space. And so the love you see them show to me and the things they do for me, give to me, say to me, it is how they were raised. They were raised to be respectful and kind. Give them some. My son, he used to, each time I upgrade his little handheld games, I would say, Christopher, give that to that kid. We were in Jamaica when they was leaving. The girls wasn't into Nintendo and stuff like that. We had the Sega Genesis, we had Nintendo, PlayStation, right? Nintendo. We had the Xbox, we had the other one, the PlayStation, right? Or what's that, Nintendo, whichever they were. And when my son was leaving, I said, give them to that little boy up the hill. He had a little friend up the hill. And I said, give him those things. He had the Ninja Turtle, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Those green things, I bought him all of them. And he had them when we went to Jamaica. We had packed 16 barrels. So those stuff went with them. When we went down, he was only 8. He was 8 years old when we went down. And so I brought this stuff with them, and the girls are in high school, and they're doing their thing. They didn't play video games anymore. And so when I went and Christopher was leaving, I said, what do you want to do with these? And he says, and I said, his little friend came down, and I said, and that little boy made so many trips. We had a fish tank, and nobody was watching fish swim anymore. Furthermore, we were off the point that, these fish had a huge ocean to swim in, or the long river. And here we have them caged up in a little 20-gallon tank. It's boring. Just from one corner, hit the glass, turn back, go trying to go up, kid. And I said, okay, so we're done with that. And the little boy was so happy. He packed up those toys and he went up the hill and he made his trips. And when Christopher was back here, because they were born here, and he got a new game, I would say, you want me to, can I bring this to school and give it to a student? I said, okay, Mommy. And so you raised them like this to give back. My daughters had all of these Barbie dolls and Ken and Barbie dolls. And remember, it's 2 of them. So whenever I bought one, I'd buy, because it was funny with them. I couldn't duplicate. I couldn't buy a separate thing and said, I want them to have their own individual things. And I wanted them to do that because as they got older, I didn't want them to think that, okay, Jody bought a house. That is our house. Yeah, it is our home. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't go get one for yourself. So I taught them to make sure that they take care of each other. If one has $1, don't feel like, I have my $1. I said, if your sisters need $1 or your brother needs $1, a quarter, I'm not telling you to give your whole $1 to them, but you share. So with those things that I instill in them, it's a normal thing for them to go shopping, and even though I make my big paycheck or I used to make a decent paycheck, it wasn't, they never watched it. They always go and they'll pick up, they know Mommy loves sardine, they bring in sardine back. They go to the Whole Food store and they had some ginger beer, so it's real ginger, really good. They would bring 6 bottles back for Mommy. I don't have to ask for things, they would just go. I chew a lot of gum. I chew a lot of gum because I find that when my allergies used to be bad on me, and when I was eating the things I shouldn't eat, and it was building the mucus, I was using sugar. And you know that sugars, carbs, they break down as sugars in your body. And so when they break down as sugars, it builds mucus in your body. So you have the running nose and you have the phlegm in your throat often, and that's a buildup from your sinuses are always in overdrive. Sugar, all the mucus that your body is building up. And so I would eat a lot of gum so that when my sinuses were bothering, instead of me coughing so much, the gum makes me swallow often, because the ENT, the ear, nose, and throat specialist, had directed me to swallow often. That's one of the things you must do. If you have this thing where you have the postnasal dripping, and when it hits your throat, you're coughing your life out, just swallow often. You don't have to wait, and you just swallow often. Or eat a piece of hard candy where you keep on building, you know, the spit in your mouth, the liquid in your mouth, so you're swallowing often. So I chew gum because gum keeps my things going, and so they don't build up. But so they'll just go. My brother, the same way. He goes to work, he comes back, a whole thing of gum. Sometimes when he's leaving for the weekend, he buys me 3 cases. He says, "You shouldn't run out till I get back." And I'm like, how am I going to run out 3 whole thing with 3 packs of gum in each? That's 9 packs of gum. I said, I can't go through 9 packs of gum for a weekend. But this is the things. These are the things that the things that you want to see. You have to create those seeds. You have to plant the seeds in them. You treat them the way you want to be treated. Treat your kids well. Don't yell at them. Don't put them down. Don't laugh at them when they say, "Mommy, I want to get a car." Don't laugh at them in the faces and says, "We are going to buy a car for you can manage it," or you can. You say to them, "All right, I'll help you, but you have to save a certain amount. I'm not just going to buy a car and give to you, but I will help you." When you're helping your kids, they're going to be different children. When you push them to go find things, or you push them and you don't help them, they go to the street and they get involved in certain things that they shouldn't have just to get the things that they would like. So if your kids are trying, if they're going to work and they don't have a vehicle, don't sit down there and talk about, you steady, you miss the bus, man, and bring you. They miss the bus, get up and bring them because they're going out to do something positive. Don't sit there. If they try to pay their phone bill every month and their hours get cut at the job, it doesn't hurt for you to say how much you have and help them, because listen, as they get older and things changes for them, they will remember those little things. So this Sunday morning, I just wanted to hold up vibes with us and to remind us that, you know, when we can find out that we're not perfect, and we all know that we're not perfect, because we know how if we're yelling and screaming at people, if we're calling people out of their names and putting them down, if we're disrespectful and unkind, if we're mean-spirited, we know it. And so the greatest thing now is for us to acknowledge it. You know who you are, what you do every day. But when you acknowledge that, you take a moment to stop and say, "My God, you know, that wasn't necessary. I am doing too much now. This is not good." Then you can see that that moment where you stop and acknowledge is that moment when growth will begin. And you're going to see that when you're better listeners, whether it's your children or your spouse, you'll notice that things will be different. Because now people, you don't have to yell because you had a good conversation. So you don't have to yell anymore. When you're helpful and you're kind, you'll see how much time you can spend together. Quiet times. Danny cooks, I wash up the dishes. Sometimes I cook, he doesn't wash the dishes. But I never complain about a dish in my sink. It's strange. I never complain. I just make sure the nights, I make sure I'm up late. I play dominoes on my phone. And I'm up late. And I make sure that I check the doors. Make sure the lights outside, they're all, like the back, that light never turns off. And the others are sensor lights. The light is on the front porch. The doors are locked. And I make sure the dishes are washed. It's interesting. When I was younger, I remember we always argued. I just wash the dishes and now, who put plate in the sink when I wash no more? We're done. Da-da-da, da-da-da. And you look and they take time and everybody comes, one plate is in there, nobody washes anything. They just add, they just add. And we're complaining. I washed the plates yesterday, I'm not washing them today. I cook the dinner, you sit there, eat. I cook, you eat, and expect me to wash the plates too. Understand? That's how we're all living together, my sisters and my brother. And we complain and we complain. And it's so funny that as an adult, I don't. Because when we have things happening here, the kids come and we do. Danny does the cooking. Danny does the cooking, not me. But I'll help out. And the kids say they eat, they enjoy the meal, they don't eat a lot, they don't eat a big plate, but they eat often. And they enjoy, and then at the end, 10, 11 o'clock, everybody's ready to, and they decide what they want to take home with them. And they make their little, Danny would buy the little foil tins, small, and they put the meats in them, and the rice in them, and the this in them, and the fish. And they'll take stuff home. But they'll never leave a dirty pot in the sink, ever. Every pot is washed. Every utensil, every dish. Guys, listen. Create those relationships with your kids. Don't teach your kids to go put on long nails and bougie. Don't let them be bougie. Let them be hardworking. Let them know values. Let them know values. Teach them values. So that if that's something that you need to acknowledge in yourself, that you know what, I need to do better at this, take a moment and acknowledge it and start building. Put the building blocks in place to change those things. Because believe me, your life will be better. Your life will be better. I'm telling you from experience. Because they come and they're not leaving dirty dishes. And they come and they're not being selfish. They're not saying, well, mommy, you get paid, so I get paid, and they're still bringing lunch money. I get, and you don't tell your kids when they give things, so I don't want it, you need it. No. You take it and you bless them, give them their blessings. Even if you put it aside and then surprise them with something later, it doesn't matter. But when your kids come to you and say, mommy, this is yours, even if you have 10, you take it and you give them their blessings. You give them your blessings, and the 9 that you had there piling up, go share with somebody. Share with somebody. I was talking to somebody the other day and was shocked that they were using something I gave them. I said, you? I said, of course. Of course I do. And it makes you feel good. So when your kids give you stuff, you use it. You take them. And you God bless you. Give them a hug. Because those are the things that makes them keep giving. And God keep replenishing for them. So don't think that, I have enough, I don't want my kids. Yes, you do want what your kids, because that's how you're going to help them build up their blessings. Let them overflow, so they could drink from their saucers too. And that's my mess for today. I just needed to say to us, find a way to acknowledge that you're not perfect. And when you reach a point where when you tell yourself, that I'm not perfect at all, then the growth will start. And it will be a new beginning. It will be brand new. And you're going to see how these new seeds that you're planting, that when they blossom and bloom, don't get me wrong, that there won't be little dribbles of little plants, little things that might come up in there. But you know what will happen? There'll be so much beautiful plants growing and blossoming and blooming that it will choke out those bad weeds that try to come too. So let's go forth, guys, and be the best as we can be. Let us remember that we are not perfect, that we have issues. Only one perfect person, and that's God himself. All of us have sinned and have come short of his glory. So let us acknowledge it and try to mend the fences. Let us acknowledge it and bridge those gaps. Let us acknowledge it and build the bridges that we need to build to become a stronger, better us. So, let us become a stronger, better us. Maybe not 1 pound at a time, but let us remember. Let us remember to acknowledge our issues so we can become stronger and we can become better. If you can be good, be careful, walk good, do good, live good. It's sweeter to love than to hate.